All right, everybody, so we're back on the Sonia here, and I've done a couple of things since I saw you last. One is I finished putting in some of the magazines. Now, I had a problem. I somehow, this always happens with every model I ever build, I lost the components for two of these. So the guy on this side, I just put brackets on there, and I figure, okay, he only has 2 bits of ammo over there. A little asymmetry in the cockpit is a little interesting, so that's what we're going with. Now, what I want to do here is gussy up the interior a little bit, and what I'm going to do is make some seat belts for the pilot, and also a lap belt, I guess, for the rear gunner. So based on some pictures that I've found, it seems like there's a big lap belt that comes across here, and then this, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to make regular old seat belts and show you how I make them, because maybe even if they're not perfectly accurate, they'll still look okay. So what I do is I just use plain old masking tape. Oh geez, way to break stuff. Plain old masking tape, okay? And I just cut it into strips that I think look about right in terms of size for a 1/33 scale strip. So I just cut these with my blade, and in my case, what I'm going to do, what's nice about these is that they are very pliable. They're very much like fabric, really. And let's see, are those close enough? This one's a little thick, or I'll make another one about that thick. They are almost even the right color. I mean, I don't think they're exactly the right color, so I'll probably paint them a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. So all you do, you can buy, really nice photo etch seat belts and things that are, made of metal, and you can position them and all the rest, and everything's hunky-dory. What I find is that, these two are about the right size. We'll use those two, they look pretty good. What I find is that they're hard to deal with, they're hard to glue in. Maybe it's just incompetence on my part, but I have a hard time with them. So what I do is make these, because they really drape and they do everything like they're supposed to. So what we're gonna do is grab this, and I guess we'll start with what I hope would be shoulder belts. Maybe they aren't supposed to be shoulder belts on this airplane, I don't know. But we're just gonna stick them down here, and maybe put them kind of in the center. I think they'd be in the center. And what we're gonna do is, maybe not quite center, this bit right there. I'm gonna squeeze them in there, and they will stick because they're sticky. And what we'll do then is bring this over and decide how long they should be. And I figure, I don't know, probably about to here, maybe to here. Because what I want to do is make them long enough that I can drape them and twist them and make them look cool. And again, these are not probably accurate for a perfect Japanese seat belt. These are just generic seat belts, but they are going to look pretty cool when they're done, because then you start playing with them like this, and you start futzing around with them and twisting them and making them look more like actual seat belts would look. Because they wouldn't just, they would hang, yeah, but they're not going to be chunks of metal, which they are when you use that's interesting right there. Look, it just rolled over like that. So when the guy got out, it fell over on that side, which is great. Let's just leave it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad place to put it. Okay. One other thing I can do with these is I can make little pretend holes in these. So I can kind of go like this. And then they look like some kind of adjustment, okay, for the guy. So anyway, same thing, kind of measure how far you want it to go, cut it off, add it in there. And again, a little bit of, it's okay if it's got a little bit, if it's not perfect. I kind of like it that rolled over like that accidentally, because it just, that's, you know, he put it in and it fell over. That's kind of cool. So same thing here, bring this down. And because this one has the little marks on it, I'm gonna do that to it and fold this down. See, now we got a seat belt that looks like it's actually a piece of fabric. So I think that's cool. Now, question is how to do the rest of this. In other words, should I, well, I'm going to put in a couple little indications anyway of metal clasps or pieces like that. And what I tend to use is my teeny weeny little fuse wire. So here's some fuse wire. And I will straighten it with my ruler. And then I will come by and we will try to make them be about the right size. I'm thinking that I'm going to make them into a little triangle. Again, I don't know if this is correct for a Japanese I don't know if this is correct for a Japanese set of clasps or something, but I'm going to stick that onto, let's see, I want to pull this up. This is a great idea because I want to actually get the clasp on here. He was a little neater on this side. When he jumped down, he kind of, the seatbelt kind of did that. See? That's perfect. We'll put a little clasp on the end just to make it look interesting. And again, probably not perfect to scale, but as I always say, good enough for the girls we date. It'll add interest and it adds a piece of, it looks like something's there, and that's the important thing. So what we'll do is we will put a little bit of glue on that. You can use super glue, you can use whatever you want. I think what I'll do is use my good old white glue because it'll be hidden. And I'll put that clasp on there and it will look, you know, again, it won't be perfect, but it's gonna look okay. And what I'll do is take this. I wonder what would happen if I flattened it a little bit. I wonder if that would look cool. Can I flatten it? Look at that. My gosh, you can flatten this. Oh my gosh. But now it's too fat and ugly. That's genius. How bad does it look inside there? Or can I cut parts of it? Can I cut it to make it look thinner? Oh Lord, we might have discovered something. We might have discovered a hack that everybody else probably knows about but me. Who knew you could squash fuse wire to this degree? Look at that. You can actually make it look, oh my, that, you know, I'm, sometimes I amaze even myself. Not often, but this might take a little bit of, I might be butchering it, but we'll see. If I can get that piece off. doesn't look too bad. Let me stick it in and see how bad it looks. Oh, I'm leaving it. You know, that's kind of cool. It didn't even occur to me to squash it. I just did that just now. So put a little glue there. And we'll put our clasp kind of right there. And we'll say there it is. It's even the right color. It's kind of metally looking. Okay, well that means we should be able to put something along here as well. So let's start this time by squashing this in the first place. Squash, 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 okay. Make it look a little more even. It's pretty good. Okay, now, if I just put a piece like that, a piece like that, I wonder if those will, I wonder if those can sort of look like shoulder pieces. You know, where would they be? I don't know, right there maybe? So I'll take a little bit of this and I'll just plop it on there like so. Okay. We'll plop this one in the same general location. Lick my piece here. Put that down. That's not bad. This is just old school scratch-built cockpitting. This is broad, but I think I could do it better with the next one. But you know, that to me doesn't look too bad. And it looks better than not having seat belts at all. Pretty impressed. Let's put a little flat clasp on the bottom of that one, just to make it look like there's an actual connection, like to the, or connection on the little piece on the end. So this would be where he'd stick, his piece into the next. He'd stick it into that piece there somehow. This is kind of steampunk, but it will do just fine. And you can even see some of the holes on there. I should have put holes on this one. But there you go. That's how easy it is to make seat belts. And I don't even think I'm going to paint them because they look kind of like beige and I like them. You know, why not? I think there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, cool. So that's how I'm going to make seat belts. Now, the one back here is a lap belt, and I might wait to make that. That's going to take a chain, and it's going to probably have to wait until I've actually folded this together to make it. So I'm going to wait on that, okay? That's cool. That's going to look really nice. Look at that. And he just kind of, yeah, he just jumped out of the cockpit, and the whatchamacallit guy, the mechanic, hasn't been in there yet, so everything just looks kind of crummy. Oh my gosh, I wonder if I could put a little tiny piece like that in there too. Now it could have like a little actual buckle. I mean, I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try. I don't know if I can get it in there without... Is it possible to do this? I think it is possible. When that dries, and if you look carefully, I think you'll see a little piece for that would actually grab. Now, it probably wouldn't be that. It would be something that would be quick release because you wouldn't want to fiddle with a regular belt or you'll die when your plane's on fire. But that's okay. That's really cool. I like it, and it adds a little more interest to the interior. Like I said, I wish I'd have put more holes on this one or holes on this one to make it look more interesting. But we'll leave it. We can even put those in with little dots if we want later. Cool. So there's seat belt for the front guy. Now, the other thing I want to do is all of these things are beautiful. These boxes, they all are wonderful. And these tubes and this little thing, they all look great. All those little side boxes, they look wonderful. Like them. But in the real airplane, it looks to me like, based on the pictures I've seen, I see no pictures of the actual interior of the real airplane, or not many. I mostly see drawings and then other models. But these things tended to be boxes that either had something on them like clasps, or they had at minimum lots of wiring that went between them. So what I'm going to do is try to add some fake wiring. And I'm going to use my fuse wire again, 0.5 millimeter fuse wire. And I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm just going to add a couple, because it seems to me like you need to add something to make it look a little more interesting. So, you know, for example, I don't know what this is over here, but to me, it needs something coming off of it and going down into the cockpit, into the cockpit. So I'm going to take a piece of wire and I'm going to form it into a curve of some kind, like that. And I'm going to cut it off about here. And I'm going to look and see if it fits. Okay, and I'll just have it disappear into the, just like that. It just, you know, what the heck? It makes it look like it's doing something. Otherwise, these boxes all look like little, I call them shoe boxes. They're really nice. They're nice shoe boxes, but you know, they need a little something extra to make them look like they're actually doing something. So I'm going to put these here, a little bit of glue here and there. And I'm going to take this little guy and I'm going to stick it behind there somehow, like that. And I'm going to stick it in like so. Okay, the glue will dry, so you won't see those little dots there, and it's not inhibiting how it's going to bend. I'm going to do that in several places. This, I think, is supposed to be like a footrest, because the guy would sit over here and he could actually come down and slide down here and put his feet up there. So I think that's some kind of a footrest, and I don't know what these are. I have no idea. And then this is just an abyss. I don't know if that should be something interesting or not. Some of these, like for example, this thing looks like it's wooden. So to me, it needs some kind of a strap around it. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to basically make a little tape strap. And I'm going to put it around the box. And I'm going to make it look like it's you know, something that has to be held together. At least that's my plan. And so, or maybe even like this. I'll put it in like that. That way I can slide it in without too much difficulty and without too much difficulty, so I say. Okay. And I can cut this off right here. Oops. Cut this off right here. Get rid of that. And then slide this up underneath. Kind of stick it up there. should stick pretty well. Okay, take another one. And we'll do the same thing, we'll put little clasps on there. Or something to approximate a buckle of some kind. In fact, we could even put a bigger piece on top of it, which is what we might do. Let's see, so now this one's harder to do because I want to make it kind of even. So let's put it up here like that. How'd that look? That come down? That's pretty good. That looks pretty good. All right, we'll do that one. Oops, didn't go to the edge. You maroon. There, that's better. There. That's good. Cut this off. Slide this under. Just glue it up in there. Okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is maybe cut a couple that are thicker. I don't know if this is going to look good or not. But if I made a couple that are thicker and sort of made them look like something that would have a buckle over it. Oops. Okay. Now, can I put this got a little piece of junk on there. Okay, now can I put this over one of these and so it's a little bit broader and make it look like a little bit bigger. Then take one of these. Whoa, that's you know, this fuse wire is really kind of delicate. I'm surprised how delicate it is. Cut a little piece off here. Put a little bit of glue, maybe here. Take my amazing piece of metal and drop it. Drop it again. Come on, saliva, do your stuff. There we go. Uh-oh, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. There you go. See, I'll do that to the other side, and that'll look cool. That'll look, and I might paint them a little bit or give them some wash to give you some depth. But it looks better than it did, I think. Okay. The other thing, aside from doing these, which again I won't show you a million times because that'll be boring, is the radio. The radio is awesome. It's painted really well. It looks great. It's got these great dials. It even kind of looks three-dimensional, but it needs a lot more. It needs to have some handles on it, which I think these are probably supposed to be handles. And these dials need to be three-dimensional. I mean, I guess they're twist knobs. So I'm going to take and cut those out of either paper or sprue, plastic sprue, and then so that it has some relief, because otherwise it look kind of silly without it. Okay, but this is an example of what I'm going to do. I'll put these on, why not, while we're sitting here. These handles, so I can show you how I would do that, but it's really simple. Get my little piece of fuse wire, straighten her out, grab it with my tweezers, estimate the size. It has to be a tiny little bend like that to go to the inside. The other hand will be about like this. That's pretty good. Excuse me. Cut this off so that it's even. Now take this. Maybe this needs a little super glue for this little operation, because this is just metal and it's going to be heavy. So maybe we put a little super glue on this one. Grab this little guy. Make sure it's the way it's supposed to be, which is close. Grab it as delicately as I can. Put a little bit of glue, super glue, on either end. Come in here. And oh, this is going to be difficult. I'm up to the task though. Maybe. Pull this down. And go. Like that. Now, I'll need to position it a little bit. But now, you basically have a handle on there. And it looks much cooler. I'll probably let it dry a little bit, and then I will come back and get it level. But now it looks much cooler, because now you have an actual three-dimensional handle sticking out there. So I'll put another one here, and I'm going to put dials onto these pieces. And I just think it'll make it look a little, like I get a little more three-dimensional look to it. Okay. I will show you how I'm going to do this one later, because again, I think I got to put these together and then put it in, because I'll be able to position it correctly. So other than this being way out of scale now, when I look at it, I'm still going to leave it because it's not bad. This looks interesting. Maybe I'll touch it with a little bit of paint. I don't know. And the same with this. I'll put the other clasp on here, and I'll continue putting little bits of metal to approximate wiring on the interior. But that's what I'm going to do to gussy this up, and then what we'll do is pull this together and we'll start skinning it. So anyway, I just wanted to show people a little bit of what's going on. I'm going to be out of town for April, so I wanted to get a lot of stuff done. So I will come back in May, if we can stand all those millions of fans, and we will continue at that point, and we will keep plugging away on the old Sonia. So thanks for watching, and I hope this keeps people's interest a little bit. And we will, next time you see this, I'll have the interior all with these little bits and pieces put in there, and we'll see how it looks. Okay? All right.